pumpkin soup. This seemed like a really good idea last night. It even seemed like a good idea like 10 minutes ago when I took the camera out, but now that the camera's out, the light's shining on me, and I realize that I'm gonna have to read out loud again. Kinda nervous. Gulp. How do people read audiobooks? This is hard. I have a bubble in my chest. Excuse me, big fat pig. Hello lovely creatures, thank you for clicking on my face. But yes, as you can see from the title of this video, I wrote a book. This book. So yes, I wrote this book. She's kind of thick. I am currently going through the first round of editing, and I thought it would be a fun little treat for both you and I if I read the first chapter, because why not? Who's gonna stop me? So the first time that I mentioned my book on my channel was, I want to say, the Spending My Off Days with Me vlog, which was originally going to be a writing vlog, but it kind of snowballed into a lot more. But have I mentioned it outside of that? I don't think I have, on YouTube at least. So if you haven't seen that video and this is your first time hearing about my book, here's my book. I don't know how well you can see. Can you see? Are things being seen? Do you have sight? Can you see? I can't see what you can see on account of me not wearing my glasses, and also this like bright light is in my eye, and these lashes, and the viewfinder is really small. Yeah, I don't have sight. I cannot see. But I hope you can see, because this is it. This is the book. This is what she looks like right now, at least. Whenever I do get the opportunity to publish her and share her with the world, she'll look a little bit different, because this is just something that I made in Canva just so I can print it. But whatever, I keep saying that she's a she, but she feels like a she. Like, this is my child, this is my baby, like I birthed her from my trauma. It's so stupid. I feel like she's a she, and calling her an it feels weird, so I don't want to do that. But whatever she ends up looking like, I know that she will be just as pretty. But yeah, so Baby Blue and Other People Who Do Not Exist is a book that I started writing when I was 15 going on 16. I'm now 22, and I'm only just now starting the first round of editing, which I don't know what to say about that. It's a lot of time and love dedicated to this book, and I just, like, I hope that I'm not the only one who loves it, because I genuinely do love the book. I still kind of get camera shy whenever I have to, like, talk to the camera. Like, when I'm singing in front of the camera, it's not that bad, but when I have to, like, look at you guys and, like, talk to you, I get, like, I clam up, I guess. And so I'm just gonna read the synopsis that I worked on, instead of trying to word it while looking into the camera, because that's scary. So Baby Blue and Other People Who Do Not Exist. The story of pain, the story of healing, and the story that lives in the middle of the two. It sounded less cheesy in my head. In Baby Blue and Other People Who Do Not Exist, embark on an extraordinary journey with Blue as she escapes into a realm of enchantment and unbelievable wonder. After surviving a brutal assault by the hands of the Chancellor, Blue seeks solace in the Forbidden Forest, only to fall through the earth and stumble upon a world beyond imagination. Upon this finding, Blue meets a cold but kind stranger, still in his own battle with grief, who reluctantly takes her in. The unlikely pairing leads Blue to learn more about the past and potential future of her new home, how fragile it truly is, and that she may be the key to saving it altogether. Baby Blue is a gripping and emotionally charged fantasy novel that explores the complexities of trauma, healing, and the remarkable power of a resilient spirit. With its blend of spellbinding adventure and poignant reflection, Baby Blue readers will find themselves absolutely enchanted. I studied the backs of a lot of books, and that's probably not even what it's gonna say when I publish it. So I'm going to find my glasses, and hopefully they're strong enough to fight against that light and these lashes, because again, I can't see anything. So I've got tea and I've got my book, and I don't know, grab some tea, grab a snack, your headphones, I don't know, man, get cozy. We're about to escape into a realm of enchantment and unbelievable wonder. Listen, I may not be able to read very well out loud, but when was the last time you wrote a book? That's what I thought. Okay, nerves aside, this is Baby Blue and Other People Who Do Not Exist, written by yours truly, Chapter 1, The Hawk, the Snake, and the Woods. There's something concerningly comforting about dying. Concerning for reasons that hardly need to be explained. Comforting because it would all be over. The promised end. No more nightmares clawing at your sleep, dragging you into a past you could never escape. No more searing tears carving harsh red lines down your cheeks. No more sharp edges of regret etched into your skin. No more morning skies that blush pink as the sun peeked over the horizon. No more tea that scalded your tongue and warmed your insides all at once. No more quiet symphonies of the night, owls calling, leaves rustling, the world breathing during an insomniac episode. No more bad, but no more good either. That was why Blue Ari lingered in the land of the living still, why she hadn't yet greeted death as the old friend she knew him to be. Blue Ari, like most residents of her village, was alone. Alone in her room, alone in her head. She didn't mind it. Loneliness was her sanctuary, a solace she'd learned to cherish. Unlike the bitter villagers who cursed their solitude, she simply, well, Blue Ari simply was not bitter. She couldn't bring herself to be. The girl looked out her open window and stared at the world outside. She always kept her window open, even at night, when it was cold enough to catch your death, as the elders of her village would say. If you asked her why, she would tell you that it reminded her of a poem that she once heard, but she couldn't remember the name or exactly how it went. Something about a bird and the rose's summer scent. There weren't many animals in the village, not many live ones at least, and the closest thing to roses were the fields full of red-seeded dandelion weeds leading into the woods, but she liked to pretend she was in a poem every now and then. The world outside her window held little intrigue, so when the uneventful scenery began to bore her, she took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and lay on her back. It was the middle of the day, and everyone was entirely too busy to worry about anything that concerned her. She liked knowing that no one had her on their mind. She knew nothing good could come of thoughts like those. Blue Ari's eyes were heavy with the pool of a midday sleep. Her small shack of a home was filled with the lullaby of a soft breeze and the earthy promise of rain. She drifted, teetering on the edge of dreams, when a sharp thud startled her awake. The girl's eyes shot open as she looked in the direction of the noise. It was an old book that had fallen onto the floor. Dust particles danced along to music that she could almost hear, and when they danced, she danced. Blue Ari reached for the book, her fingers brushing its worn leather cover, but when she went to place it on the wooden table against the wall, her gaze caught on something else. A bird. Not just any bird. a massive creature perched on her windowsill, its talons curling over the frame. Its feathers shimmered with an uncanny iridescence, and its piercing eyes locked onto hers. She was almost sure it was a hawk, but she'd only seen those in drawings, and none of them seemed to do the winged creature justice. Hello, she stammered through her greeting, as though it might respond. I'm Blue, Blueari. This is my home, and, well, I don't think it's fit for birds. 4 years and a day ago, I saw a cat in the garden. I don't think cats care for birds. Or birds for cats, for that matter. The bird tilted its head and looked around, almost as if it were looking for the cat. Oh, you don't need to worry. He's not here now, Blueari quickly added. Zipporah chased him out with the broom the second she saw him. She said if we let him stay, he'd think we wanted him here. And we didn't want him here, of course. Well, at least Zipporah said we didn't. Zipporah, Blueari's kind-hearted neighbor, had always been a practical woman. She'd turn scraps of fabric into beautiful quilts and collect rainwater to give to her plants during the dry seasons. And she'd chase away any unwelcome visitors of all species to ensure she did not wake up one morning and find her vegetable beds turned into a lounging spot for a feline day tripper. She shared a backyard with Blueari. They both had a pitifully small piece of land, since they both lived alone, favoring the company of their thoughts as opposed to other people. But Zipporah had a green thumb, and Blueari liked not having to grow her own food. So she agreed to let her neighbor grow crops in her garden, as long as she agreed to share. A fair trade, and a true kindness on Zipporah's part, and one of the many reasons Blueari held her neighbor in such high esteem. The bird inched closer out the window, making Blueari think it was going to leave, but all it did was readjust itself to its place on her windowsill. You really should go. There's nothing for you here, can't you see? It didn't move. Blueari crossed her arms and sighed, her breath causing a couple of hairs from her frost-colored bangs to float up slightly. She didn't mind the bird. She'd actually grown quite fond of it in the little time they had spent together. But her house really wasn't fit for birds. Birds were meant to be free, and her small shack seemed more like a prison to her. It was quite a nice prison compared to real ones, but a prison nevertheless. She gave the bird one last disapproving look before she gave up in trying to make it leave, and of course her lack of trying was the very thing that caused the hawk to fly away, which was good. But then, without warning, it swooped down and snatched something from her table, an old silver locket. Blueari's old and silver locket. The girl wasn't quite sure where she had gotten it, but it was hers, and it always had been for as long as she could remember, and she didn't want it in the possession of a bird she hardly knew. Her breath caught. "Wait!" she cried, scrambling to her feet as the bird flew out the window. She watched the bird fly away with her necklace, the light caught on the tarnished silver, reflecting the few bits not consumed by rust. She'd often hold the locket between her fingers and graze against the silver. There seemed to be an engraving on the locket, though she wasn't sure of what. She could never rid the locket of enough rust to see. But even with its imperfections, it was hers, and she wanted it back. The bird didn't wait for her protest. It was gone, the locket along with it. Without thinking, Blueari held her skirt high enough above her feet to not fall to the ground within her first couple of steps and ran outside. The feeling of the rain she knew would come, pelting on her skin, and the grass beneath her bare feet, was an unfamiliar one. She didn't go outside often. There wasn't much she needed out there. She chased the bird throughout the village, past crooked shacks, between bustling markets, until they reached the woods. Both Blueari and the bird stopped before entering. God only knows what stopped the bird. Shock, maybe. Shock from what stopped Blueari. Because the only thing that could paralyze that girl when her locket was involved would be a scaled, clawed hand grabbing her corpse-colored arm, pulling her back. She knew exactly who it was before she faced him, but she did face him out of respect. Respect she didn't feel he deserved, but respect nevertheless. "Good day, Chancellor." Blueari forced herself to make eye contact, his yellow eyes staring too deeply into her own. He cleared his throat before speaking. "Good day, little mouse." His tongue always wiggled when he said words like that. Mouse. The Chancellor truly was a terrifying thing. I say thing, because Blueari also felt he did not deserve the title man. No, the Chancellor was no man. The Chancellor's fangs jutted from his mouth like grotesque tusks, and were so large they poked out of his mouth and curled around his face. He had claws the size of both of his hands stacked on top of each other, and they could shred Blueari to ribbons if he so chose. and his eyes yellow and glowing. One night, after indulging in her fair share of spirits, Zipporah told Blue Ari that they glowed so he could see his victims in the night. She also told her to never repeat that, and they hadn't spoken of it since. The Chancellor terrified Blue Ari, yet the villagers, including Zipporah, treated him as one of their own, a figure of authority rather than the nightmare he appeared to be. So Blue Ari tried to do the same. Would you like to explain what a seemingly law-abiding young lady such as yourself is doing in the woods? The Chancellor asked, his tone dripping with mock civility. Well, I haven't yet gone into the woods, so I don't think I can explain, sir. Blue Ari answered, straining her spine uncomfortably. The Chancellor stepped closer, his towering presence looming until the space between them was reduced to a mere breath. If Blue Ari exhaled too deeply, their chests might brush, a thought that sent a shiver of unease through her. She leaned back instinctively, her feet shuffling to put distance between them, but her movement halted abruptly when her heel brushed against a delicate red-seeded dandelion. Blue Ari froze, her gaze looking down to the tiny plant trembling in the dying grass beneath her. Zipporah's words echoed in her mind. I haven't met a plant without feelings, dear girl. Though she'd never been entirely sure if it were true, how could she be so rude as to kill something with feelings? So despite the rising tension in her chest, she stayed rooted in place, unwilling to harm the fragile bloom. You do know that going into those woods is a crime, correct? The Chancellor spoke again. Blue Ari nodded. I only wanted to get my locket back, sir. Their eyes both went to the hawk that was still flying above and beside Blue Ari, clutching her old and silver locket in its talons. The Chancellor looked less than pleased to see it, and the bird had a similar reaction to him, and Blue Ari just wanted to gather her belongings, return home, and leave both creatures well enough alone. The Chancellor reached out to grab the piece of jewelry, but the bird wouldn't let him get close enough to touch it. Accepting failure, the bird put the chain around Blue Ari's neck and flew into the woods. She held the locket in her hand and watched as the bird disappeared. There, the Chancellor growled. You have what you came for. You best be running along now, yes? Blue Ari had already started walking away before the beast could fix his lips to say anything at all. Yes, Chancellor. By the time she returned home, her body was damp and weary, but her heart was oddly light. She sat by her open window, running her fingers over the rusted locket. For a moment, she smiled. For just a moment, she was happy. She was happy to see her bed and her wooden table and her empty teacup lying next to the pile of quilts on her floor. For just a moment, she was happy to be back. But the moment passed, as all moments must, and Blue Ari sighed heavily as she picked up the tiny glass cup, all but forgotten amongst the quilts. She studied its cracks and its chips. She studied its emptiness. She realized then, with a bitter pang, that she and her teacup had far too much in common. And with that, the first chapter of what will soon become my debut novel is done. So this was definitely taking a step out of my comfort zone, sharing the book as well as just like reading in this style of video. it felt weird for me, but I did enjoy it despite the anxiety it induced. I really hope that you enjoy it. If you're still awake, are you still awake? Hello, wake up, are you still awake? I guess I shouldn't wake you up if you fell asleep. Go back to sleep, little creature. So stupid. Hopefully I will have an opportunity to share more of the writing process and fun little behind the scenes of, you know, the making of Baby Blue and other people who do not exist. I guess if that's something that you guys want to see, you should like let me know, because I get about like 6 comments per video. I'm gonna see it. Like, so just like you could comment, I'm gonna see it. Yeah. But yes, that is all the video I have for you today. If you like this video, please like this video, and if you didn't, still hit thumbs up, because I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Also, while you're down there, feel free to hit the subscribe button so you can see more of Mwah. And last, but certainly not least, don't forget to leave me a cheeky comment down below. Bye!